Welcome back to the Family Business Podcast. My name is Andrew Poncho Glover, and I'd like to say to our viewing audience and listeners, Happy New Year to everybody that joined us last year. We have a lot of new things that are going to be happening on the family business this year.
One, two, three, I know beats like ABC. Mine come up, they hate to see. I may believe till they believe. I came up to major leagues. Say you blind, but wait and see. Just so easy. 1, 2, 3, ABC from A to Z. Back to raps, I won't miss. Heard the beat and I kissed. Sing a lot, but I switched. Yeah, bet you rappers so pissed. Now I'm high up with the stars. Yeah, I'm on the path up to Mars. Yeah, told me I wouldn't get far. Yeah, how you look at these bars? Yeah, how this kid fit so authentic? Why did I live that I said it? Yeah, flow is so sick, need a medic. Lies so corny, let's dead it. Yeah, I just prove what I do. Yeah, name is Tom, but no cruise. Yeah, beat is on and I cruise. Yeah, vibe is lit in my cruise. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, I know beats like ABC. Mine come up, they hate to see. I may believe till they believe. I came up to major leagues. Say you blind, but wait and see. Just so easy. 1, 2, 3, ABC from A to Z.
We're going to have a lot of different guests, and I'd like to say, first of all, that Alex, our usual host, is not with us right now. She's in off season, but she will be joining us when they start back up practice to enlighten us on what goes on behind the scenes. We're getting ready for the volleyball season. But today I have my son, Andrew Poncho Glover, Andrew PJ Glover. He is here today to visit with us, let us know about him, what he did, the sports he played in, how he's been impacted by it, and what goes on in the locker room and on the field. PJ, welcome to the Family Business Podcast. We're glad to have you. Introduce yourself to our listening and viewing audience, please.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew P.J. Glover. I am the son of Poncho Glover. Right out of high school, I signed to Southern University in Baton Rouge, which is a HBCU, which, if you don't know, is the rival school of my father. You know, it's funny how things work out sometimes like that, but hey, God works in mysterious ways. I ended up leaving that school, and I transferred to Fullerton College in 2017. And in 2017, we were fortunate enough to win the national championship and go 13-0 and be ranked the best junior college in California that year. And then the following 2018, I was also fortunate enough to be joined by my brother and then also go undefeated again for the first undefeated back-to-back seasons in school history. After that, I was fortunate enough again that God blessed me and he sent me to Ottawa University in Arizona, where I earned a 2-year scholarship and I played my 2 years out, and now I'm finishing up school there.
Absolutely. I think that's a good segue for us to talk about the current news and what happened in the Damar Hamlin situation this week. You saw what happened on the field. How do you feel about what happened out there? And, what did you think about, how they responded and life in the NFL as a whole?
Yeah, man, it's sad. The NFL is a dangerous game. Initially, my first thoughts watching it were, "Oh my goodness, I hope he's okay." And then after the fact, I was really just amazed on how fast the medical staff attended to him. And then when more details started to come out, that he actually, might have passed away. That's what they say, quote unquote. You never really know what happened unless you were there. But they say he lost his pulse and they gained his pulse back and things of that nature. So, I mean, that's just an amazing job by the medical staff. And if they weren't on their toes that day and they weren't attentive, then it could have gone for the worst. But I feel like it's a terrible situation that we can see the light in. It's brought a lot of people together. It's brought a lot of money to his charity. And, I mean, it's terrible for him, but that's football, and it happens sometimes, and we were all aware of being out there and what can happen on that football field. Not saying what happened to him was anywhere near okay or anything like that. I'm praying for him daily. Everybody's praying for him daily, but that's the risk we take getting on that field. And now a lot of people on national television got to see the risks and repercussions of what happens when you get on that field. And it's just the NFL did a really good job of handling the situation. I feel like they did not need to play that game, and they didn't play that game. Money isn't everything, and health and wealth is more than that. And they did a really good job of showing that they appreciate and love the players more than they care about the views and the money and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think it was an opportunity for the fans and all the people who love the game of football to know, see, and understand real time that football is a very risky business. But, the players do it for the love of the game, the love of the players, and they try to go out and execute the plays and represent their city. And now they had an opportunity to see how dangerous it really is in the NFL. And it's not the first case where they've had catastrophic injuries happen on the field. They have happened in the past. We just didn't have the social media platforms that we have now, where it gets around the world in a matter of minutes. And now everybody has an opportunity to be engaged in what's going on and evaluate, how people reacted after it went on. So it's a very dangerous game. And I think that preparation is the key, although I don't think he could have prepared any way differently than he had, to sustain that kind of injury. I think it was just a freak injury that happened. And I think that, it's a good opportunity for us to learn from that and increase the preparedness going forward in the near future. So I prayed for the gentleman. I prayed for his family. I was hopeful that, he was going to make it through. And not just make it through, but have all his faculties about him where, he could walk and talk and remember and all that, because, it's still a long road ahead, but it could happen to you at any time. That's why it's so important to get your degree in school. And that's why it's so important to always remember that you're a student first and then an athlete, because now he's in a position where potentially the game could be taken away from him. So there's going to be some thought going on in the next couple of months about what his life is going to be like after the game of football. And hopefully that, he's thought about that prior to that happening, and he started to prepare himself. I know he has been doing some great things in the community. He had a toy drive that he was working on, and, thank God, people sent money into his toy drive, and I think it's well over $1 million. He was asking for $2,500. So I think it's well over $5 or $6 million maybe at this point. But the support of the community, the support of both of the organizations was key and critical in that moment. And I give them a grade A for their efforts.
Yeah, I really feel like the organization responded well, and not just their organization, but all the organizations around the league. I feel like they really rallied around Damar, and they really showed how much the players mean to not only the fans, but to the NFL as well. Because without the players, the NFL is nothing. They're only as much as their players are, and I feel like the NFL Players Association, NFLPA, did a really good job of standing their ground, because initially they came out that they were going to play the game after 5 minutes of him going down. But the players stood up, they stand with themselves, and they said no. And I feel like we need to see more of that going on in the league, because without the players, there is no league, and they're making money off of those guys. So, I mean, your vocalization and how you feel matters. So.
Yeah, I think it was absolutely the right thing to do, was to cancel the game. However, there was another controversial thing that happened on that field, other than, him, getting hit. And that was, people openly praying. And it had been ostracized before about prayer on the field. And I know that, Colin Kaepernick had, got into a lot of trouble by kneeling and things of that nature. But, in that moment when people really needed a higher power and needed to reach out and get consoled by, a spiritual being at the time, and try to understand what was going on and to process it. So how do you feel about, what was happening and the prayer that was going on the field? And do you think it should be instituted back on the NFL field?
I think it should be instituted back on the NFL field. I also feel like it does have to do with the individual. So if that individual is not comfortable enough doing that, or they feel like they are uncomfortable with somebody doing that, I mean, that's just the world we live in. And I feel like prayer should be instituted not only in football, but outside of football as well, in the locker room. In a lot of locker rooms it is. I wouldn't say most because I'm not 100% sure on that, and I don't want to say nothing I'm not sure about, but I would like to say most locker rooms do institute prayer and a sort of higher power before they go out there and they play that very dangerous game.
Yeah, a moment of silence or something like that, just to, get in your own space and to try to clear your head before you have to go out and execute. So staying with football, there's another issue that's going on, and that's one with the former team that drafted me, the Las Vegas Raiders. They bench their starting quarterback, and I think in some ways he was asked not to show up at the stadium after, I think it's like 7 or 8 years, I think, that he's been with the organization, and now they decided to go in a direction. But I think the fact that they asked him not to even show up, at the stadium for game day because they feared that he might be a distraction, that was something that I had never heard of. And I just thought once you were part of a team, you were part of that team until the season was over with. So how do you feel, about what happened to David Carr in that situation with the Raiders?
Yeah, I really I'm a Derek Carr stan. A lot of people really don't like Derek Carr, and being a Raider fan, I can understand why. You know what I'm saying? But you got to really think about it. He's given us 7 years of his life, 7 of his best years. He is in his prime right now, and everything doesn't always go as planned. And you just got to look from the outside looking in. It all looks like Derek Carr's fault, but I mean, when you really break it down, I could really bring out some stats right now. Since Derek Carr has been drafted, the Raiders have been ranked 32nd overall in total defense. There's only 32 teams in the
Wow.
NFL. So, I mean, they're not really giving him any help, and they gave him a little bit of help this year. They had Devontae Adams, potentially the number one wide receiver in the NFL, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, a couple all-pro guys, and they think it's just going to click instantly. I really feel like they didn't do their due diligence, and they didn't give him enough time to really mesh with all these pieces, and it's just a lot of new pieces. He's also had 4 different head coaches in the 7 years he's been there, so it's a lot going on. It's a bad situation. But for them to ask him not to show up to the stadium after he's given them 7 years, uh, I'm talking about 7 conditional years. He has loved that organization. He has bled black and silver. He's been a Raider through and through. And he said he's loved the Raiders and he'd love to stay, but I really feel like they're forcing him out and just in all the wrong ways. It is a business, and what needs to be done needs to be done. So the benching thing, I really don't have anything to say on that because he wasn't producing as much as they maybe would have liked on the field, but it's only 2 games left. You already haven't made the playoffs, so why not just go ahead and let him finish out what he had to finish out? That's more of a personal accomplishment than anything, and just move on from him. Do the business aspect. But I feel like that was more of a personal hit for them to ask him not to come to the stadium and his family not to be there. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, for me, once a Raider, always a Raider takes on a whole new meaning. That's whether you with the team or without the team. you still a Raider. And so that's the business of football. And that's the trajectory that is going in today. I mean, I think based on what's happening in social media and what the people say, I think that's influencing decisions that's being made within the organization. And that's something new because I think that this is the first time that it's really been like that because of social media and what people are saying and what they're threatening to do or not do, or not come to the game, or boycott, or not buy tickets. But just like you, I don't think that it was all his fault. I think you win as a team and lose as a team. And, I think the biggest problem with that is from the very beginning. If he did not have 1, 2, or 3 good games, on the 3rd game, you should have been pulled. I don't think that you should have waited till all the way to the end of the season, but you give preferential treatment to certain people based on, what they get paid and how popular they are. So that just came back to bite you in the end because I think that it may have been able to be salvaged had him, if he would have been playing bad, he would have been turning the ball over. And we all know when you play football, if you turn the ball over, then it lessens your opportunity to win the game significantly. if he had the opportunity to have the ball in his hand and determine the outcome of a game, and he turned the ball over, then he should have been pulled a long time before then, and the backup should have been put in. So I think some mistakes were made along the way. However, I don't think that the relationship is going to be repairable, and he's going to move on to another team in the NFL. And so with that, have you thought about where he might possibly end, or what team he could possibly help other than the Raiders?
Yeah, like I said before, I'm a Derek Carr stan. So I really feel like he does have a lot of good intangibles as a quarterback. He can really sling the rock and things like that. And I really feel like he is a leader. He's a born leader because if you look, like I said before, the Raiders 32nd in total defense. And if you can still find a way to win games and still find a way to be in games, and like you said, ultimately at the end, you're the quarterback. You got the ball in your hands. If y'all win, you take the W. If you lose, you're taking the blame. Always. The quarterback, they're always going to place the blame on the quarterback, even if there's a lot of stuff going on the outside looking in, going around them. But I like the whole Falcons situation for him. I think that'd be a fresh start for him. The Falcons really don't have a quarterback right now. Marcus Mariota has been asked by the team to leave, so he left the team. And maybe the Jets. There's a couple teams he can really go to, but I feel like personally, whatever team Derek Carr does go to, I feel like he will make a positive impact. I feel like he has that chip on his shoulder now that the Raiders didn't really do right by him, so I feel like he's going to go somewhere else and prove everybody wrong.
Wow. What about this one? I have thought about it and thought about, how excited everybody would be to see Derek Carr go and play for the drum roll, the New England Patriots.
That'd be a good fit.
Bill Belichick has a way of taking quarterbacks or somebody else's goods and refining them and polishing them and make them into great quarterbacks. Look what he did with Tom Brady. Tom Brady wasn't a regular starter whenever I think it was Drew Bledsoe got hurt and Tom Brady came in, and how he structured his system around the quarterback to protect him and give him an opportunity to have great success as well. I think that Derek Carr would do good in that system. It's a highly disciplinary system, and it's a system where everybody is held accountable based on their own merit, what they do. It looks like that on the outside anyway, but I don't know how it is totally on the inside because I've never been a part of the New England Patriots organization. I've only done my evaluations based on what I see on television and based on what's been said about the coach. But I think that if he went to the New England Patriots, that would be a sure slap in the face to the Las Vegas Raiders if he went there and had great success and even had an opportunity to go back and go to the Super Bowl in another uniform. So we'll wait. We'll see what happens. There's still a lot of moving parts. The season is not over yet. And the Raiders are actually playing today. They are playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, the great, is coming to town with his high-powered offense, and they have a pretty good defense as well. How do you think that game is going to turn out with the distraction that's happening with Derek Carr on the side?
I think I don't think he'll be a distraction. I think if anything, like I said, he's a natural born leader. So I think he'll be encouraging his team to get that win. And one thing about the Raiders, they could be 0-15, but that last game they're always gonna go for the win. They're always gonna try to win, and they're always gonna go all out. So I have seen reports that Devontae Adams is playing. Josh Jacobs is going to be limited just because of his whole situation. He is the leading rusher in the NFL right now. So as of today, if the season ended today, he would have the NFL rushing title. I think he's ahead by like 162 yards or something like that. So today he's hopefully going to put a little distance between the two and be the first Raider since Marcus Allen to hold the NFL's rushing record. And I think that'll be a great accomplishment, not only for him, but for the Raiders organization. And I think they may need to make a top priority of signing him back, whether they lose or win today.
So for the Las Vegas Raiders organization going forward and looking to the future and the draft, what do you feel like, they need to go out and get in order to be able to help the team to get to the playoffs next year?
I feel like top priority should be defense. You got all the offensive stars in the world. You got Darren Waller. You got Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs. You got Abdullah. You just got all these fast, really strong, physical dudes that can do it on the offensive end, and it's shown. The Raiders put up points. A lot of people can say whatever they want to say about the Raiders, but they constantly put up at least 24 points a game. So I mean, to a lot of people, that's not a lot of points, but in the NFL, that's a lot of points. It's hard. It's hard to even get a touchdown. So it's hard to put 24 points up on that board consistently. So consistently, they're putting at least 24 points on the board, if not more, with a great offensive firepower. It's just the defense needs to do a little better, man. I think they need to go after some safeties, maybe some corners, maybe outside linebacker, maybe target somebody big in free agency, like Jalen Ramsey's a free agent this year, somebody like that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for improvement on the defense as well as special teams.
Mhm.
Special teams is always a space that could really help boost your offense, or it could boost your defense with not being out there as long. When the offense has the ball and are driving the ball, then the defense get a lot of rest. And when the offense can score points, it makes it a lot easier for the defense. It makes the opposing offense, they have to be on their toes, and it makes them one-dimensional. Because if you're behind and you're behind by a lot of points, then the defense knows you have to pass the ball. And so they're going to be in the position where they can rush the passer. They're going to be excited about getting sacks and excited about getting the interceptions and making plays. So Derek Carr was pulled, and the backup quarterback came in and did an admirable job against the number one defense in the NFL in the San Francisco 49ers. He put up a lot of points and only lost in the last seconds of the game by a field goal. So what do you do about his performance? Is it based all on what he does today? And if the team wins, and if you give him an opportunity, to earn the starting position, or do you just look past him and go get you a qualified quarterback that has, won a lot of games and is capable of leading his team to the next level?
I think win or lose today, the Raiders have something in Jarrett Stidham, whether it's to be seen in trade value or whether it's to be seen in a quarterback in the future. He is young, but he looks very, very good out there, and I think today is going to be just another evaluation period for him, for not only the Raiders but for other teams as well. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like these quarterbacks are going out here. These people are playing that in week 18 that usually don't see play in week 1 through 17. This is a tryout. This is a tryout not only for the team they're on, but for another team. So I think today he goes out there and he balls and puts on for Raider Nation. But I really think he puts on for himself and his family and looking towards his future.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a lot of pressure with a new franchise being in Las Vegas. I think the people there have great expectation for the team, and not even having the opportunity to go to the playoff is a major letdown. For everybody, because so much was sacrificed to bring this team to Las Vegas, and neither of them they expected. We had a controversial situation prior to this with an automobile accident and a player where a player was speeding, first round draft pick, wide receiver. You had the coach that had won games and had to respect other players. That was doing well, and everybody thought he shouldn't have the opportunity to be the head coach, but he got fired, and they brought on Josh McDaniels. So how do you feel about what Josh McDaniels is trying to build? He's had great success as the offensive coordinator with the New England Patriots, and I think that he had another NFL job before. Did he not? Did he play? Did he coach Denver or somebody for a short period of time?
Denver as well.
Right. And now he's the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. How do you rate his performance this year in, organizing the offense and going out on the field and executing plays? But just because he's the offensive coordinator doesn't give him a pass. He's the head coach. So he should be aware of what's going on offensively, defensively, and special teams. How do you feel, his performance is rated this past year?
Honestly, I feel like sometimes I've never been a coach, nevertheless a head coach, so I wouldn't know. But speaking from how I think and how I feel like it would be a lot for him. I feel like it's a lot for him going on, being in Vegas, not only being the offensive coordinator, but like you said, a head coach. So you also got to worry about the defense and the special teams and things like that. So I think next year I feel like he should maybe take a step back and just be the head coach and oversee everything and really focus on being the best head coach he could be, because It's a lot, man. It's a lot, especially going on during game time. You're trying to call plays, you're trying to organize this, and you're trying to help run the defense. Like that's a lot going on. I feel like it would take a lot of stress off of him and off of other people if he would just delegate at least a little bit of the offensive play calling role to somebody else. I'm not saying you can't have your say, because obviously you're the head coach and what you say goes, and you can still write up the script and everything. But I feel like you need to share that position with somebody else just for us to be more successful, so you can step back and help make our team overall successful. Because like you said, he's the offensive coordinator, he's offensive minded coach, and guess what? Our offense is doing good, but our defense isn't. So I feel like you really need to just take a step back and just focus really, really hard on defense, because defense wins championships. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do in Las Vegas. So
community. So I have a quirky question of the day, and I want to know, at the end of the game, and if the game was on the line, would you rather lose by a field goal or lose on the last play of the game? Which one would you rather have happen to you?
I'd rather lose by a field goal. I've lost in the last play of the game before, and I've almost lost in the last play of the game before when we played my first year in 2019 when I was at Ottawa. We were playing Texas Wesleyan, and the quarterback, David Isom, he actually plays in Europe right now, plays professional football in Europe. And he threw like a 55-yard bomb. They caught it. They was on the 1-yard line. Time was expiring. We're all running up. They're trying to get the ball hiked. They're going to run a QB sneak to win the game, and time expires. And just seeing the look on their faces, like, last play, they're about to win the game. I mean, I'm not going to lie. They was about to win that game. They was on the 1.5-yard line. Potentially could have been a touchdown. It was sickening for them. And I've lost on the last play before like that, like on an interception, run back for a touchdown. I've lost before. And it's sickening, man. It's just, I'd rather lose by a field goal and know I'm about to lose than have it just sprung on you. Like, that's just sick. I'd be sick.
Right. Yeah, anywhere it go, a loss is a loss, and we're not a family of losers. We have won at everything that we have done, and that is our expectation. We're willing to pay the price in order to win. So I think.
1, 2, 3, I know beats like ABC. Might come up, they hate to see. I may believe till they believe. I came up to major leagues. Say you blind, but wait and see. This so easy. 1, 2, 3, ABC from A to Z. Back to raps, I won't miss. Heard the beat and I kissed. Sing a lot, but I switched. Yeah, bet you rappers so pissed. Now I'm high up with the stars. Yeah, I'm on the path up to Mars. Yeah, told me I wouldn't get far. Yeah, how you like all these bars? Yeah, how this kid fit so authentic? Why did I live that I said it? Yeah, flow is so sick, need a medic. Lies so corny, let's dead it. Yeah, I just prove what I do. Yeah, name was Tom, but no cruise. Yeah, beat is on and I cruise. Yeah, vibe is lit in my cruise. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, I know beats like ABC. Might come up, they hate to see. I may believe till they believe. I came up to major leagues. Say you blind, but wait and see. This so easy. 1, 2, 3, ABC from A to Z.